All right, so we got basically 3 pieces, okay? Re-coordinate, release, and then reintroduce strength, okay? So the coordination part, we got 4 pieces: cross crawls, joint circles, 90-90s, and hip joint centration, okay? Cross crawls, the simplest one is gonna look like this. You're touching your opposite limbs with as much control as you can, okay? You can do it here, you can do it higher, you can do it lower. For some people who can't even get that far, like simply doing this is gonna have huge impacts. Basically, we want to cross our limbs as much as we can, okay? And that's done with as much control as you can. Then we got joint circles. Joint circles is very simple. Like, this is something that this is part of the 5-minute flow that I encourage everybody to do every day, is all joints love circles. If you want things moving well forever, be moving your joints, right? In any way that you can. So, you know, your neck, this part of your spine, so the top part of your spine, your thoracic spine, you're opening it, you're imagining each vertebrae moving, right? This part of your spine moves like this too. So you're moving it this way. You're moving it like this, right? And then your lower part of your spine, or your lumbar. So in any of these, you're never forcing it. You're only doing whatever is pain-free and in control. So a lot of times people will just, like, if you're doing arm circles, they're just swinging their arms around, which is better than nothing, but it's not as good as I'm really controlling the ranges of motion, right? Like, every inch of that movement is control. Same thing, we got elbow circles. Like, the muscles are actually moving things versus just gravity and momentum, right? Then you got your knees and then your feet, right? Ideally, you do this barefoot, so then you can really, like, stretch all parts of your foot, get your foot on the ground, top of your foot, stretch that out. So that's joint circles, okay? So we got cross crawls, we got joint circles. Cross crawls, I would do sets of like 20, so 10 on each side, and I would aim to do at least 3 or 4 sets. Everything else on top of that is bonus. The more you do it, the better it is, right? That's something that you can't overdo, literally. Same thing with joint circles. And then 90-90s, I mean, you're familiar with these. We have these all the time. So we're going to wherever we can. Again, it's super controlled, right? If that means your back is tight and you're only able to go here, that's fine, that's where we're gonna go. Then we got hip joint centration, okay? And for the 90-90s, I would spend about a minute or so and do 2 or 3 sets of that. Hip joint centration. So basically that's just a fancy way of saying we're gonna, usually when things start to get tight, it's because the first cause of usually your femur moves, and then as it moves in the socket, everything tightens up. So we wanna get it back right in the middle. So the first thing to do that is hip joint centration. So basically, I'm going to drop all of my weight on one hip. So in this case, it's my right hip. I'm gonna drop my weight and just exhale and relax. And what I'm gonna feel is this bone trying to pop out of this butt right here, right? Or out of my butt cheek. So I'm gonna feel that weight. I'm gonna exhale. And I'm gonna move around and make little circles, okay? Really gentle, really nice and easy. And I'll do the other side. So that's the re-coordinate part. Then the next thing is, and same thing with that, I would do like a minute or so on each side, at least a couple of sets. Then we got release. So we got dead hang centration. So this is similar to that, except this is in a position where you're standing. You're gonna dead hang your upper body like you're not holding your weight at all. Release and don't hold your breath. Exhale slowly. And now while you're doing that, you're gonna push your knees back and forth. Do not hold your breath or it doesn't work. So my knees are moving like this as I am completely relaxed in my upper body. All right, and then last thing is we have prone, adductor, and adduction. Basically, I'm going to be on my back, or I'm sorry, supine. You're gonna grab a medicine ball or a foam roller, put it in between your knees, and then you're going to squeeze as hard as you can, making sure your low back is flat. So that's super important. You don't want to do this with an arched back. You want to stay flat, squeeze, and then you'll do that for 3-4 seconds. And then if you have somebody to help you, that's good. Or you can use your own hands and press in and then press out with your knees, right? So you're gonna do a couple of those. Now the last part of this is reintroducing strength. So big keys here is no grinds whatsoever. Stay, and since we're going to have so many opportunities to do, you squat, you could all go squat every day if you wanted to. But since we have so many opportunities, never should a rep be grinding, because then you're gonna go back to this and the brain's gonna freak out and it's gonna lock everything up. So let's stay at 70%. I want you to be even more conservative. Don't go to a weight that okay, I can move it, might slow down a little bit. I want it to be so easy where you're damn, maybe that was way too easy. Maybe I should have done more. That's where we want to live for that. So I think around 70% where you could really focus and control every inch of that squat. So the last thing is, or two last things is, control it even more, right? I want you to, and this is where the video will help, but even from the moment where you grab the bar in your squat rack, you're pressing up into the bar, you're pressing the ground away from you, you're almost wedging and expanding in between the ground and the bar until the bar pops out of the rack. And you keep that mental frame in your mind, and then as you step back and you begin your squat, the whole time what I want you to be thinking about is I'm pressing the ceiling off of me and pressing the ground away from me. So I'm pushing in both directions, right? The reason that's super important is that's gonna give your brain, it's gonna turn on the right stuff without you having to be engage this, engage that. And all you gotta do is think of that and the right stuff will happen, which will give your brain more confidence. And so it won't lock things up. And the more frequently we practice this, the more it becomes cement, pretty much. That's what we're trying to do, is we're laying the foundation, we're pouring the cement. So the more opportunities we have to that, the more solid that is becoming. And the last thing, best thing, if you can send a video of one set, a few reps every week, that'll go a very long way. So let me know if you have any questions. Yeah, man, let's add these in and then give me some feedback on those, because not every single person clicks with every single exercise, or not every exercise is necessary, or some work better than others. Sometimes